Tēnā tāna ko ai haere mai i tēnei rā. Ko taki te mutu waka, ko rangi te maunga, ko te iwa te awa, ko whakaki te roto, ko Ngati Kahungunu, te iwi ko ngai te pū, te hapu, ko whakaki te marae. O tēnei te waiwai o taku pāpa, ka huri no ki te waiwai o taku māma, ko māmari te waka, ko manu i te maunga, ko waimahana te moana, ko ngā te kahu ki Whangaroa te iwi, ko ngā te au kiwa te hapu, ko te pohi o te waka te marae, ko Rikki Solomon tōku ingoa. Privileged to be here with you all today and to share a paku kororo and to just share some thoughts. A little bit about my background. I grew up in a little place called Te Hauke. And there, I grew up there, lived in Waikato, Tamaki, Makaurau, but a lot of my learnings were through my karaua and my kuia. And a lot of my learnings came through my parents. And we grew up under the maunga teitei, kei te tupu ai, ke raro te maunga teitei o Kahurānaki. A kei te rapunga tuna i Wainganui e te waiū o Paukawa. Kei te ako, ngā mātauranga, ngā pūrākau, ka raro te māhau o te marae o Kahurānaki. Ka noho au i Wainganui e te hāpū o te rangi koenaki. So I grew up under the watchful eye of our great maunga Kahurānaki, gathered eels and went eeling in our waiū, our lake of Paukawa, and had lots of learnings and teachings under our māhau, our marae o Kahurānaki, and which is in the Te Rangi Koianaki hapu. In the Ngati Kahungunu iwi. And so I grew up there, and my background is working in, I've worked in tangihanga for many years. So I'm a funeral director in Burma, and just love serving our whānau. And what really sparked for me was changing, was we'd seen a lot of our tāne die from mate mōmori. When they're going through their huringa, their ever-changing world. And I often thought, well, I want to, want to be there before they arrived at the funeral home. See if I can make a contribution to the community, to our tāne. My wife always sort of told me, hey, you're better off working with the people and serving them. So from there, I started working with rangatahi and with tāne and running wānanga. And what I found is that my upbringing around the lake, gathering tuna, planting gardens, and growing up with Maramataka and mātauranga that I learned from my karaua and my kuia, was the tools that I learned from that could be used with our hauora and the wellbeing of our tāne, and not just tāne but also wahine as well. And so with those I work at Turuki Hauora or Turuki Healthcare. I'm at Turuki Healthcare. I sit on Te Pai Matua, which is about flipping the model of care in the medical field, because we're very ātinana hinengaro focused. But in 2018, they wanted to shift the whakaaro to more of a wairua-led service. And so we approach things from our wairua. Now, those things that are wairua could be matakete wānanga, wairua wānanga. It might be through a vehicle of maurākau or maupatu. It could be through rāranga. And so it's the mene pukunga, the mene wānanga that we have in Te Ao Māori would be the vehicle that we approach hauora from. So whānau approached to us with with the hauora might be diabetes or mental, I don't like the word mental health, but it's a kipu that everyone knows. But their mental health, that we approach it from a wairua, we approach it from a wairua lens first. So whānau come in, they might be with the doctor, and then they'll go, the doctor might go, hey, you know what, it might be good if you speak with one of our wairua practitioners, even though you might turn up with, we'll treat the hauora of the tinana, but often there's been an impact our wairua that we approach first. So we've been running that since 2018. And I'm also a mātauranga with Mahi atua, and so through pūrākau and bringing Maramataka and the fusing and the weaving of pūrākau and the taiao and Maramataka together allows our whānau to have a look at a wider spectrum, not just looking at hauora as in me. We use those phrases, ko au te whenua, ko te whenua, ko au te awa, ko te awa kawau. Just moving it from just being a whakatauki to actually moving us to our whenua, moving us to and reconnect, getting our hands and our feet into it. And so that's the mahi that I do now. And it's an absolute privilege and an honour to work in these great spaces, but also to serve and work with our whānau. I have a beautiful whānau. I have a beautiful wife, Renee, and their 2 children, a daughter and a son. And they keep me grounded. They remind me who I am. They are my greatest teachers and advocates. When I get home, they remind me those dishes are still there, still got to cook. And it is a beautiful feeling knowing that I can come home and just be me. And so beautiful to talk with you today. Tēnā tātou ki te mihi atu koutou mā, ngā rangatira mā, ngā tāne mā, ngā mataoro te ao, kei te mihi atu au ki a koutou. Ka tēnei huihuinga, ka raro tēnei karakia, he karakia whakatō kumara. E takataka mai, ko koe hei whakarōtōtia mā kuru ai te kākono kai. E tauria te pū, tauria te mū, tauria te aka, tauria te kokoia whenua. Ka putu i te whetu, ka putu i te waru. Tuku te taupiri e tātai te aorangi, ua te ua whatu e rungi te hāruru pāpā. Pāpā no te whatitiri ki rungara, ko wai i whia, ko wai e uru mānanga. Ka tohi atu tamaki te ake rautangi e rua atu rā, rua tahi te uhi nei. Te taro nei, te kumara pūhara nui nei. Whakatahe tamaki te waipane ka tuku te papa e karatau. E haere pō i te ara, i te aha, e haere pō i te whetu, i te waru. Raua haere mai te tuki, haumi e, hui e, tae ki e. I thought I'll start this time of the kōrero around Maramataka, o ngā toko o te taiao, and how that relates to us. And the karakia that I just shared was a karakia around the kumara and the planting of the kumara. But we can get a lot of connectedness to our kumara, because kumara was significant to our tipuna and still significant to us today. And so when we have a look at just break parts of this karakia, and we want share some insights to it, because we can learn a lot around a kai māori and growing. If we get to the nako, or the essence of Maramataka to our tipuna, it was around growing kai. It was about fishing, it was about providing, and it's also giving us a purpose. And so when we look at our kumara and our kaimara, it teaches us patience, it teaches us many things. But even before the kumara could be planted, and we look at our seasons, ngā kaupeka o te tau, we go through many different phases of weather patterns, and we've seen many weather patterns lately, especially over the last couple of lots of winds, lots of storms, lots of rain. And I always refer back to the pūrākau of Mataora and Niwareka. And the more parts I want to touch on this story of Mātauranga, because Mātauranga caused a massive hara with Niwareka, and because of Mātauranga's ego, Mātauranga's pride, and being an ariki, thought that Mātauranga was not accountable to anyone, just to observing whatever this Mātauranga said happened, and being this particular type of way, didn't allow Niwareka to blossom. Everyone loved, everyone around the marae around the whānau loved Niwareka, which caused jealousy for Mātauranga. So we're not going to go into the full pūrākau of this, just aspects of this kōrero. But when Mātauranga assaulted Niwareka, and to the point that Niwareka left, and Mātauranga had to go through some transformations. And there's particular islands or moutere that Mātauranga had to go through. And we resided in this world, Te Aotearoa, the world of the standing light. Then to get to where Niwareka went, resided, was she went back to her people, which was in Rarohinga. And in Rarohinga is a world of tranquility, a space of peace, aroha, and none of the things that reside in our world, the hate, the envy, the anger. It was a peaceful place. So Mātauranga, being in this world where there was those types of things, had to go through a journey, and the journey that Mātauranga went through, and I want to talk about five of these moutere. Te Aotearoa, which is our world. The next island that Mātauranga had to go through was called Te Pairangi, and in Te Pairangi is known as the Great Battle, Nga Pakanga o te atua. It was a Te Pairangi, name for Te Pairangi, for us in Kahungunu, is winter. And so Te Pairangi was where this cold battle went ahead. And so when we look at that winter period, we go through this transformation in our winter where the temperature becomes cold. And when we talk about Te Pairangi, what we're referring to is the battle of the elements. The snow, the wind, the storms, the rain, the flooding. Then we go into another island, which is called Te Tāhekeroa. And Tāhekeroa is known as the long descent. That's where the final battle went between Whiro, the atua of Te Pō, darkness, against Tāne. And they really wanted to stop Whiro's actions in this world. And this battle was known as the final stand. And so that's when we go into the depth of winter. And we have a look at our names of winter, Pipiri, Hongonui, and Here Turukoka, the names that we refer to them. And in those times, those cold times of winter, we can have a look at these names. The Pipiri or Piri come together. Honongoi, Hononga come together, join together. And Here Turukoka, we look at that kupu here, and here means bind together. And so in that most coldest time of winter, we come together, we join together, we bind together. And when we're talking about that winter, it can also we look at when we go through struggles, when we go through our own internal conflicts and our own henengaru. And when we go through those own conflicts, it could be through anxiety, depression, those things. When we go through our own traumas, those can be our te pairangi, our internal battles, te tāhekeroa, the long descent. And when we go through those, and we get to that point, into those pō uri, the intense darkness, te pō nui, te pō ro, te pō kerekere, te pō uri, all these different states of te pō, what we find is that's when we're at our lowest point. And we can take a lot of hope from our calendars, is that there's, when we look at piri come together, hono join together, here bind together, it's about coming together and nourishing each other. And so when we're going through our biggest struggles, often we try and We want to isolate, we want to be by ourselves. And the term that we call that is matangaro. Matangaro means the hidden face, and Tāwhiri Mātia, our great atua win, is a matangaro. And because when Tāwhiri Mātia was defeated, ka tango he ana whatu, ka hoatu, ka whiua, ki te umurangi nui, that Tāwhiri Mātia ripped out his eyes, crushed them, and threw them to the heavens, te rangi nui. And so each year we celebrate Matariki at the most coldest time of the year. Now, I like to just change that analogy a bit, in that Tāwhiri Mātia left Tāwhiri Mātia's eyes as a tohu to keep our eyes open for the ones we cannot see. So Matariki is not just about, and you hear the kōrero, is about coming together, joining together, and bringing our families together. And the tohu of that is Tāwhiri Mātia. And so matangaro, you can't see the wind, but you can feel it. And so when we're working with our whānau is, they might present to you as everything's okay. You know, when people go to, hey, are you okay? And yeah, no, I'm fine. They just feel that there's something more. And you just dig a little bit deeper. Are you sure? You want to have a kōrero? And that's what matangaro is. You may not see what they're going through, but you feel it on a vibrational level. And so when we're going through that te paerangi, the tāheke roa, and we gather around and we put our time together, we be with our whānau, then we get to the next two phases, which are known as te tātou urutahi and te tātou uru ora. And te tātou urutahi is the single doorway, and te tātou uru ora is known as the doorway of health. If you go through your most darkest time, and then you go through your challenges and overcome them, your healing will come through as you enter into this next stage. And just like the whetū only shine in te pō, in the darkness. And so our stories, our challenges, our biggest obstacles that we go through are our whetū. When we share our stories, we share our mamai, and we tell our story, we give light to someone else that may be going through the same thing. And I've observed that when you read people's songs and their stories and their poetry, and it's through the arts, they tell their story, is often the story of the trauma or the mamai that they went through, and then they've turned it into a beacon of light or a whetū so someone else can see it. So from this, I'm saying is that your story absolutely matters. Your voice absolutely matters. What you share matters. When we look at this, go back to this karakia around the kumara. The kumara is that when we plant it after all of those battles, after all the rain, the winters, the frosts are completed. This karakia is talking about after all this is going through, the ground has been renourished. The ground has been is ready now for planting, and that it's gone through all of this changes in the winter, allowing it to rest. But from that rest, we can then do this karakia, so we can plant the kako no kai, which is the kumara. And so the tauria te pū is plant the seed. And from the seed, tauria te wū, the taproot begins to take form. Tauria te aka, the vine begins to grow. Tauria te kokoia o te whenua. But first and foremost, the song of the kokoia must be heard before all of this is done. Our kokoia is the long-tailed kuku, which is the cousin, a relative of the pipi whāreiro. And when the kokoia returns back to the whenua, we would listen to the song, and when we hear the song of the kokoia, we definitely know that it's time to grow, to plant. And in our Maramataka, these are known as whiringa nuku, whiringa rangi. Whiringa nuku is that when we And if the timing's right, we plant, and then the kākano begins to send its roots into deep into Papatūnuku, whiringa nuku. Whiringa rangi is that tauria te aka, is that when binds the kākano to Papatūnuku, and then the root comes up, the taproot, the vine comes up, and that's whiringa rangi. So just like that, when we're going through our own growings, if we plant the seed and we plant our whakaro to make that transformation, allow ourselves to connect back to Papatūnuku, allow ourselves to firmly place our feet on her, firmly place our feet within our whānau, and then allow the whiringa rangi, allow that vine to grow. Now, when we're planting a garden, it's just not the end of it. We have to water it, we have to nourish it, we have to weed it. So just because we might go through some form of transformation, we still have to nurture that plant. And one of my favourite lines in this karakia is that it goes, ka puti te whetu, ka puti te waru. And what that talks about, if you make changes now, you plant that seed, you won't see the fruit of it. And what this is saying, you won't see it until the 7th or the 8th month. And I love that, because what that does is, anything that we do, we won't see it until it's ready. No matter how much karakia we do, we can't make that kumara grow any faster than it is meant to. And within a society that we live in today, in instant gratification, we want things now. Planting our garden, our kaimara, reminds us that great things take time. And if we're patient, we nurture that garden, we weed it, then in that 7, ka puti te whetu, ka puti te waru, then we get the erua atura, te tahi uhi nei, te taro nei, te kumara puhara nui nei. Is that it'll allow, we give it time, and we go through these transformations, and we go through these challenges, that we've set our goals and we plant the seed, that we will get an abundance of kumara. Now, sometimes we may have, we might find that our gardens might die on us. How no? It's okay. We go, I'm not a green finger, but it's a learning. Everything's a learning. Never give up. Just keep going and persevering. Look at what I did. Was the soil right? Was it too wet? Was it too sunny? Did I leave it and then all the vines died because I never watered it? We can learn from that. And so when we're setting our goals and we're going through, us as tāne, and there's been a father, an uncle, a son, a karaua, and we're trying to nurture these relationships, it's okay to fail. It's okay. And where I draw the inspiration from is tāne, the greatest of all our atua, failed many times. Failed. But the key word is, you're allowed to fail, and you're allowed failings. But when we say, I'm a failure, that's taking it on as I am a failure. You're not a failure, you had a failing. And so when tāne was creating, and one of our kōrero was creating hene ahu one, and tried to create offspring, tried to create wahine. The first creation by tāne and trying to create a wahine was ka puta mai ngā kōhatu, was the rocks. And then from the rocks came the harakeke. And from the harakeke, and then moved on to the mingi, and then moved on and created the tōtara. And everything that was created in this world was all from tāne's failings. And in these failings, Tāne wasn't a failure, but in these failings created this beautiful world that we live in, this taiao that we live in, all in the pursuit of creating a wahine. And in our Maramataka, it's a constant reminder about those, because we often, one of the kōrero that we like to share is around the kore kore te whiwhia, kore kore te rawea. And what that kore kore te whiwhia is saying, that there was nothing to pursue. Kore kore te rawea, there was nothing to be obtained or to celebrate. And what that was referring is these failings of Tāne, when Tāne was trying to create, was failing. So kore kore te whiwhia, there was nothing pursued. When Tāne was trying to pursue and create this, was creating everything else but what Tāne wanted. And when Tāne failed, kore kore te rawea, there was nothing to celebrate. And so when we go through these failings, is going, what is the learning? What is the teachings? How do we apply that? What can we learn from this? When a relationship breaks down, or with a child, how did I contribute to the failing? I'm not a failure as a father. I may have failed in what I was trying to do. I may have failed in what I was trying to say. And always ask permission for a take two. Just as our ga kai mara might we might die on us, there was a failing, but I'm not a failure. And so we can learn a lot from our Maramataka around kai. And so when we go through these different learnings and all these different areas, it's okay. It's okay. And so one of the other part of this, what I love about in this karakia, that even when you plant this garden, ua, e whatu e runga ra haruru pāpā no, te whatutiri ka runga akira. Even though we might be in spring and going into summer, it's still going to rain, there's still going to be lightning. And our taiao gives a perfect example of that. Often we get caught up when we often hear we get the no mati, this is not summer, summer's late, or spring's early, winter's early. What we have to remember is what we call the taiao is in absolute control of everything. And that we are the tainer of that, and that we think we try to control the taiao. And so coming up, and we planted our garden, we're watering our garden, we're coming to one of the most, coming up to the end of the year, which is with Christmas coming up. And it's a kōrero that we've been having with another rōpū as well, is that the financial burden that we're coming into, in the expectation and the commercialization of a celebration that should have been about families coming together, can put unforced pressure that we're already financially just surviving, that we're gonna feel the peer pressure to give everything we have for presents. And one of the things that we always talk about, rehua is the whetū that rises, or Antares is the star that is associated with the summer period. And rehua, and one of the kōrero about rehua at this time of the year we use is called rehua kai tangata. And rehua kai tangata, if how we use it is, how I use it, rehua kai tangata, rehua the consumer or eater of people. And what that's, and what the whakaro is that with our gardens, if we're not watering it, we're not nurturing it, eventually rehua will dry the whenua out and our crops will die. For this time of the year, rehua kai tangata, if we're not observant and we're looking after our pātaka, and when I talk about our pātaka is our resources, that we're not and we're not keeping to the not keeping to the code, but we get caught up in that commercialization. Well, another analogy we can draw from that is if we spend everything that we have in this one moment of time, we could end up in financial difficulty because of the pressures of the world. And so one of the big things that I've been trying to do is that it's not about presence. It's about coming together as a whānau and being in each other's presence, being together. So just as winter where we had that piri mai, or no mai, here mai, it should be exactly about spending quality time together. And one of the things that I often hear, at tangihanga, and is that, us men, we work, and often a lot of tangi and we go to, and, Rikki was a great worker, was always there, gave everything to the kaupapa, and we talk, and everyone will share like that. And often the whānau would be there and they'll go, oh, we never really knew, Dad was always working, Dad was always away, and so we often hear that they were a great worker, they were a great employer. But what we want to hear in our kōrero too is we want you to be a great father, we want to hear a great son, a great koro. And that can only come by us being present. And so, even though I'm exactly the same as that, I get caught up in all that mahi too, and I'm constantly away. So this is a reminder for myself. And so when we nurture those things that are really important to us, which is our whānau, our relationships, they're just like the kumara. If you plant it, you nourish it, you may not see the fruits that come from that straight away, but you will see it. And so I love this time of the year, and as we're transitioning from Hoanga, we're coming into the space between Raumati. It's a really, really great time. The other big one is also being safe around our water. Because as the temperatures get hotter, we go out to the beaches, we go out to into the rivers. Is really watching out for our whānau. It's not something that we kōrero much, talk about much. Is also making sure that we're safe around our waterways. Rehua kai tangata, as we get near that water, if we're not careful, we will be consumed by that. So know our limits. And so when we go back to that story of Mātauranga and Niwareka, Mātauranga trying to get to Rarohinga, arrived at the Pairangi. And so he arrived at the Pairangi and asked, the question would be posed, where are you going? Mātauranga goes, I'm going to look for my wife Niwareka. And because of the impact that Mātauranga had on Niwareka, the article of the island said, you can't go through until you prove that you can't tell you where to go because of the hapa that you caused. So sometimes we have to have those good friends that are around us that can tell us, allow us to change. Mātauranga had to go through this transformation, had to go through these challenges, and the biggest challenge that Mātauranga had was with Mātauranga self. And so with this whakaaro here, is that the biggest challenge that you're ever going to face in life is ourselves. It's going to be, we're our harshest critic. We're the most harshest person to ourselves. And we can be quite demanding of ourselves. And when I think of this karakia of Tāne, when Tāne had to go and get Nga Kitenga o Te Wānanga, it was done in Orongonui. It was in the summer period. When Mātauranga had overcome his challenge, came back in Orongonui, which is our summer. So summer is a time that the wairua can be up. It's a time of healing. But also, tāne in the karakia, in this oriori o tūtere moana, it says, whakoroko mai e tama ko tahi tonu te hiringa e kake ai tāne ki tiki orangi, o te hiringa o te mahara. In order for tāne to ascend to the highest pinnacles and echelons of the challenge they faced tāne, the biggest challenge that tāne had was the power of his thoughts. And tāne had biggest challenge was himself. But in this karakia, tāne had been blessed with everything that tāne needed. The learnings that he had received, that tāne had received from their parents, that tāne had learned from all of the failings. The challenges had sharpened tāne's mind. The challenges that we face, the resistance that we feel, are all things that will make us stronger and better. When in the garden, when our garden has our kumara and our vines have they grow and to get stronger, the greater the fruit. So the challenges that we go through, may they sharpen us to be better tāne. May they sharpen us to be better men in the community. May they sharpen us to be better husbands and partners, fathers, grandfathers. And so coming back to the beginning of this karakia, taka mai, o koe hei whakarongotia mā kuru ai te kākano. And what they say, to move forward and come ready to prepare. You must come and lengthen, extend, and adorn without fuss. May the abundance spring forth from the seeds that you plant. Set yourselves goals. Dream big. Nō reira, o te ā, kia koutou mā. E tauria te pū, plant the seed. Tauria te wū, made it take form. Tauria te aka, may your dreams and aspirations come through. Tauria te kokoia o te whenua, may the songs of the birds and the taiao and your tipuna continue to call and cherish you on. Ka puti te whetu, ka puti te waru. May they come forth and nurture these relationships as you take time to harness them, wrap them, and embrace them. O te rā, it's been a privilege to come in here and to share a paku kōrero ki a koutou, kei te mihi atu ki a koutou mā. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa, Mauri ora.